Hello, dear friend. Tonight, let me take you somewhere unexpected. Not into tales of kings or warriors or battles long ago. Not into stories of heroes or empires. Tonight, we will wander through the quieter paths of history. The kind of history that hums gently in the background of our lives. The history of the ordinary. Yes, the everyday objects around you. A chair, a toothbrush, a spoon, a light bulb. Things so normal, so boring, that we hardly notice them. Yet each one has its own quiet story. And listening to those stories is like watching raindrops slide down a window pane. Simple, calm, strangely soothing. So, make yourself comfortable. Rest your head. Breathe slowly. And together, we will drift through the surprisingly boring history of everyday inventions. Long ago, before the first houses, humans found shelter in caves. Caves were dark, cold, and damp, yet they were protection against storms and wild animals. For thousands of years, the cave was home. Slowly, people learned that they could build shelters of their own. Mud packed into walls, branches tied together, stones carefully stacked. The first houses were simple, but they kept families safe. Over centuries, homes changed. Mud became brick. Wood became carved beams, roofs grew taller, windows wider, and yet, through all the changes, the heart of the home remained the same, a place of safety, of warmth, of belonging. The story of the home is not a loud story, but it is the story of every one of us. And then, there is water. Water has always been life. Imagine, thousands of years ago, people walking miles just to find a stream. Imagine carrying heavy pots from a well, balanced on your shoulders. Imagine watching the sky, praying for rain. Slowly, people learned to dig deep, to build wells, to make aqueducts. Later came pipes, pumps, and taps. Today, we turn a handle and water flows. Clear, cold, and simple. It feels ordinary. Yet this everyday act is the result of centuries of human patience, problem solving, and quiet invention. Now think of food. At first, humans hunted and gathered. Each day was uncertain. A chase, a hope, a risk. But then came farming. Seeds pressed into soil. Fields of grain rising and falling with the seasons. Farming changed everything. It gave us bread, vegetables, and fruits. It gave us markets and kitchens. It gave us time to dream and create, instead of endlessly searching for the next meal. Look at a potato, a carrot, a tomato. Each has traveled far. The potato from the Andes, the tomato from the Americas, the carrot from ancient Persia. Today, they are part of our daily meals, but each carries a long, gentle history beneath its skin. And what about sweetness? Before sugar, the only sweet taste was honey. People climbed trees and cliffs, risking stings and falls, just to taste its golden softness. Later, sugarcane was discovered. Boiled, pressed, and refined, it spread slowly across the world. With it came sweets, candies, cakes, and desserts. Little celebrations wrapped in sugar. Not grand inventions, perhaps, but who can deny the quiet joy of sweetness? A birthday cake, a holiday dessert, a piece of candy shared between friends. Boring history, perhaps, but sweet all the same. Then there is paper. Before paper, there were carvings on stone, pressed symbols on clay, marks on animal skins, heavy, fragile, hard to carry. Then, in China, someone found a way to make thin sheets from plant fibers, light, smooth, foldable. Paper spread slowly, carried by traders, adopted by cultures, embraced by writers and artists. It became the canvas of knowledge itself. Every book you've read, every letter ever written, every drawing ever sketched, all possible because of paper. Such a simple invention, such a quiet revolution. And with paper came helpers. The paperclip, a tiny twist of metal. For centuries, people tied bundles of paper with string. It worked, but it was clumsy. Then one day, someone bent a wire into a loop, and the paperclip was born. Simple, silent, useful. Its cousin, the stapler, soon followed. With a soft click, it pressed pages together. Not a glorious invention, not one to fill headlines. But if you've ever kept your notes in order, you've been touched by its quiet genius. Other tools, too, grew in silence. The spoon, for instance. Early humans used shells or cupped their hands. Later, wood and bone were shaped into spoons. A small thing, yet it carried soups, broths, and stews to countless lips. Forks arrived much later, first in the East, then slowly making their way across Europe. At first, people found them strange, even unnecessary. But now, no table is complete without them. Chairs, too, have a story. At first, most people sat on the ground or on simple stools. Chairs were for kings, chiefs, rulers. Slowly, chairs spread to common homes, shaped into wood, then cushioned, then polished. Today, we hardly notice them, yet every chair carries the story of comfort made ordinary. Beds tell another gentle tale. Once, people slept on straw or on leaves. Then came raised wooden frames, keeping sleepers away from cold, damp floors. Later came mattresses, filled with feathers, wool, springs. The bed became not just a place to sleep, but a place of rest, of safety, of dreams. Tonight, as you lie in yours, remember, it too is an invention, refined over centuries, shaped for comfort. Shoes are much the same. Early humans wrapped their feet in hides, tied with string, just enough to keep them safe from stone and cold. Over time, shoes became stronger, softer, more protective. Sandals, boots, slippers, sneakers, what began as survival became style and comfort. A humble invention, but one that carried humanity forward, step by step. And then there is light. For most of history, the day ended with the setting sun. Darkness fell, and work stopped. Then came fire, torches, oil lamps, candles, a flickering flame to hold back the night. Later came gas lamps, and finally, electricity. A single bulb glowing softly in the dark. Today, light is so ordinary, so constant, that we hardly notice it. Yet for our ancestors, it was nothing short of magic. Think of matches, a stick, tipped with a tiny spark, waiting to be born. Before matches, fire was a struggle. Flint against stone, embers carried carefully from place to place. Matches made it simple, a flame in a moment. A boring invention, perhaps, but one that brought warmth, food, and safety with just a strike. And of course, the toothbrush. For centuries, people chewed sticks or rubbed sand against their teeth. Then someone attached bristles to a handle, and the toothbrush appeared. Quietly, it became part of our mornings and nights. Not glamorous, but essential. A little invention that touches every smile. And what of time itself? For thousands of years, people watched the sun's shadow, or measured hours with dripping water and falling sand. Later came sundials, hourglasses, pendulums, then clocks with ticking gears, marking each moment. Finally, watches small enough to rest on a wrist. Time, captured and measured. A quiet guide, steady and constant. Pens and pencils, too, deserve a thought. At first, there were sticks dipped in ash, then quills dipped in ink. Later, pencils with graphite, pens with flowing ink, and finally the ballpoint. So ordinary, we carry it without thought. Yet every word written, every poem, every note, made possible by these small, boring tools. And so, my friend, we are surrounded by stories that are not dramatic, not tales of heroes or battles, but of spoons and chairs, homes and beds, paper and pens, water and wells, sweets and sugar. Each invention is ordinary. Each is a little boring. And yet, together, they form the fabric of our daily lives. The truth is, the quietest things are often the ones that matter most. The things we hardly notice. The ones that simply work. So tonight, as you rest your head, think of these small inventions. The home around you, the bed beneath you, the clock that ticks softly in the background, and let these gentle histories carry you, slowly and quietly, into sleep. Thank you for spending this time with us. Your presence here truly means more than words can say. If you found comfort in this story, I warmly invite you to stay connected, to like, to share, and to subscribe. Not for numbers, not for noise, but so we can meet again in another quiet corner of history, where soft stories wait to be told. Goodbye, until we meet again.